Might have noticed we started in a bit of a rush. We quickly closed the book and ran off, and that's just because of the timing. We wanted to come back here to the secret door and see if our book would be in here. The last book. I do hope the door doesn't decide to vanish again. It's not vanishing, it's just on the side, right? It's... Oh my... Why, door? Why? Well, the door has disappeared again. Seems like I can't get out for now. Again. He says again. I did consider this possibility happening. I wanted to come back, have a look, see if perhaps that one book that had disappeared would have reappeared. Apparently, the only thing that's disappeared is the door. So, we're stuck here for the next 24 hours. That means we can't have the Shade's birthday tomorrow either. Well, I guess the Shade wouldn't mind because his birthday hasn't arrived yet. He still has another 11 days to go. I had thought yesterday that today would be his birthday when it hits 45. Did I mention I'm not great at math? I got better, but apparently not better enough to be able to calculate backwards when it was a year. So this is fine. I did prepare mentally in the event that this would happen. We can read Zarathustra from the browser. Let me shrink this so that way we can watch our Shade at the same time. Actually, we don't need the sides. We're just going to imagine the book is here with us while we wait for the Shade to sleep. And we're going to want him to sleep and have a dream because that's going to advance time by an hour, which means at the beginning of our next dream, the door will open and we can leave. But yeah, going backwards, I was in a bit of a rush because of the timing of things. This secret door only appears at the first hour of each day. And right when we were beginning, we were within, I thought I had a couple of hours of in-game time, but being inside our home, that time moves rather quickly. So yeah, we were in a bit of rush starting the stream to get in here at a good time. Now that we're in here, great. My second thought would be to try the Halls of Eternity. Well, we'll try that some other time. I mean, we're not going to try that tomorrow. We could. We'll have the time for it. We'll see. This was not like an intentional mistake, so that way we can read more Zarathustra. This was... I know there was the possibility, but yeah, this was not the plan. Okay. Now, how do I... interact. Here we are. Have we gone that far? No, we've not. All right. When we get back to the game, we'll advance through the pages, so that way everything lines up again. Do we hear it about page 20 or so? Or parable 20, whatever these things are? World of parasites, right. Oh, my brethren, am I then cruel? When did you get that? At the very top of the page. Close enough. But I say, what falleth? That shall one also push. Everything of today, it falleth, it decayeth. Who would preserve it? But I wish also to push it. Know ye the delight which rolleth stones into precipitous depths? These men of today, see just how they roll into my depths. A prelude am I to better players, my brethren, an example. Do according to mine example. And him who ye do not teach to fly, teach, I pray you, to fall faster. Let's see. I don't want the screen to turn dim. See if that should work. Okay. "21. I love the brave, but it is not enough to be a swordsman. One must also know whereon to use swordsmanship, and often it is greater bravery to keep quiet and pass by, that thereby one may reserve oneself for a worthier foe. Ye shall only have foes to be hated, but not foes to be despised. Ye must be proud of your foes. Thus I have already taught. For the worthier foe, O my brethren, shall ye reserve yourselves. Therefore must ye pass by many a one, especially many of the rabble, who din your ears with noise about people and peoples. Keep your eye clear of their for and against. There is there much right, much wrong. He who looketh on becoming wroth. Therein viewing, therein hewing, they are the same thing. Therefore, depart into your forests, and lay your sword to sleep. Go your ways, and let the people and peoples go theirs. Gloomy ways, verily, on which not a single hope glinteth any more. Let there the traitor rule, where all that still glittereth is traitors. Traitors is gold. It is the time of kings no longer. That which now calleth itself the people is unworthy of kings. See how these peoples themselves now do just like the traitors. They pick up the smallest advantage out of all kinds of rubbish. They lay lures for one another. They lure things out of one another, and they call good neighborlessness. O blessed remote period, when a people saith to itself, I will be master over peoples. For, my brethren, the best shall rule. The best also willeth to rule. And where the teaching is different, there the best is lacking. 22. If they had bread for nothing, alas, for what would they cry? Their maintainment, that is their true entertainment, and they shall have it hard. Beasts of prey are they in their working. There is even plundering in their earning. There is even overreaching. Therefore shall they have it hard. Better beasts of prey shall they thus become, subtler, cleverer, more manlike. For man is the best beast of prey. All the animals hath man already robbed of their virtues. That is why of all animals it hath been hardest for man. Only the birds are still beyond him. And if man should yet learn to fly, alas, to what height would his rapacity fly? 23. Thus would I have man and woman fit for war, the one fit for maternity. The other, both. However, fit for dancing with head and legs. And lost be the day to us in which a measure hath not been danced, and false be every truth which hath not had laughter along with it. 24. These are numbered very oddly. Your marriage arranging. See that it be not a bad arranging. Ye have arranged too hastily, so there followeth therefrom marriage breaking. And better marriage breaking than marriage bending, marriage lying. Thus spake a woman unto me, Indeed, I broke the marriage, but first did the marriage break me. The badly paired found I ever the most revengeful, and they make every one suffer for it, that they no longer run singly. On that account, want I the honest ones to say to one another, We love each other. Let us see to it that we maintain our love. Or shall our pledging be blundering? Give us a set term, and a small marriage, that we may see if we are fit for the great marriage. It is a great matter always to be twain. Thus do I counsel all honest ones. That's what would be my love to the Superman, and to all that is to come, if I should counsel and speak otherwise, not only to propagate yourselves onwards, but upwards. Thereto, O my brethren, may the garden of marriage help you. 25. He who hath grown wise concerning old origins, lo, he will at last seek after the fountains of the future and new origins. My brethren, not long will it be until new peoples shall arise, and new fountains shall rush down into new depths. For the earthquake, it choketh up many wells, it causeth much languishing, but it bringeth also to light inner powers and secrets. The earthquake discloseth new fountains, and in the earthquake of old peoples new fountains burst forth. And whoever calleth out, Here is a well, for many thirsty ones, one heart for many longing ones, one will for many instruments, around him collecteth a people, that is to say, many attempting ones. Who can command? Who must obey? That is there attempted. With what long seeking and solving and failing, and learning and reattempting. Human society is an attempt, so I teach, a long seeking. It seeketh, however, the ruler. An attempt, my brethren, and no contract. Destroy, I pray you, destroy that word of the soft-hearted and half and half. 26. My brethren, with whom lieth the greatest danger to the whole human future? Is it not with the good and just? All those who say and feel in their hearts, We already know what is good and just, we possess it also. Woe to those who still seek thereafter. And whatever harm the wicked may do, the harm of the good is the harmfulest harm. Whatever harm the world maligners, maligners? I guess so. The harm of the good is the harmfulest harm. O my brethren, into the hearts of the good and just looked someone once on a time who said, They are the Pharisees, but people did not understand him. The good and just themselves were not free to understand him. Their spirit was imprisoned in their good conscience. The stupidity of the good is unfathomably wise. It is the truth, however, that the good must be Pharisees. They have no choice. The good must crucify him who deviseth his own virtue. That is the truth. The second one, however, who discovered their country, the country, heart and soil of the good and just, it was he who asked, Whom do they hate the most? The Creator. Hate they most him who breaketh the tables of old values, the breaker. Him they call the lawbreaker. For the good they cannot create. They are always the beginning of the end. They crucify him who writeth new values on new tables. They sacrifice unto themselves the future. They crucify the whole human future. The good. They have always been the beginning of the end. Okay, so he's kind of trying to break these things down in a way that's like, they're like tools to try to understand certain things, but it's weird because he's creating these tools but not talking about these things. He's mentioning Pharisees, he's mentioning people and being crucified and stuff, and it's like it's a well-known, pretty famous story. I think most cultures know this story by now. But he's not saying what that story is. He's not saying who those people are. Don't know why. Perhaps it's just some book writing thing, why he doesn't do so. But he's saying the people who are just going by the law, what is good, this is the right thing, and just following that they are the beginning of the end. That those people are... I don't know. I don't have a word for it. I guess a lack of virtue. Because they're just doing what they were told was the end. Are they really a thinking person at that point? Or are they more like machine? And I guess that's his point, is when these people begin to act more like machine than as a person, then that's where, I guess, the issues are. I'm not going to look too deeply into it. What else did he say here? An earthquake is a good thing. Something that shakes somebody up, right? And they begin to see things in a different way. Or they get shook up and they look at life in a different way. The old can spring forth new fountains, and it will change everyone around them. But he mentions fountains are where people are, I guess, learning, aspiring. Like a new video game comes out, and everybody at that point, it's a new fountain. They're gathering around it, they're trying to learn and perform their best with it, and there's lots of failings and such that happens around it. I get what he means by a fountain. I get the symbol, but how he meant it, I'm not sure. All right, 27. My brethren, have ye also understood this word, and what I once said of the last man, with whom lieth the greatest danger of the whole human future? Is it not with the good and just? Break up, I pray you, the good and just. O my brethren, have ye understood also this word? 28. These are, sorry, taking another aside, these are weird numberings because they're not like commandments. They're not major points. Because some of them refer to other ones, like the one with being a swordsman, that you should pass others by. Okay, that was what, 21 of them. And then it came back again. And like he was following up on that point of what he was just saying before about being a swordsman. And I'm like, I don't understand what these numbers mean. Perhaps they make sense in German. Perhaps there's like a pattern in the way it was written, like a rhyme or something like that. All right, 28. Ye flee from me, ye are frightened, ye tremble at this word. My brethren, when I enjoined you to break up the good and the tables of the good, then only did I embark man on his high seas. And now only cometh unto him the great terror, the great outlook, the great sickness, the great nausea, the great seasickness. False shores and false securities did the good teach you. In the lies of the good were ye born and bred. Everything hath been radically contorted and distorted by the good. But he who discovered the country of man discovered also the country of man's future. Now shall ye be sailors for me, brave, patient. Keep yourselves up betimes, my brethren. Learn to keep yourselves up. The sea stormeth. Many seek to raise themselves again by you. The sea stormeth. All is in the sea. Well, cheer up, ye old seaman hearts. What of fatherland? Thither striveth our helm, where our children's land is. Thither, thitherwards, stormier than the sea, stormeth our great longing. Why so hard? said the diamond one day to the charcoal. Are we then not near relatives? Why so soft, O my brethren? Thus do I ask you, are ye then not my brethren? Why so soft, so submissive and yielding? Why is there so much negation and abnegation in your hearts? Why is there so little fate in your looks? And if ye will not be fates and inexorable ones, how can ye one day conquer with me? And if your hardness will not glance and cut and chip to pieces, how can ye one day create with me? For the creators are hard, and blessedness must it seem to you to press your hand upon millenniums as upon wax. Blessedness to write upon the will of millenniums as upon brass, harder than brass, nobler than brass. Entirely hard is only the noblest. This new table, O my brethren, put I up over you, become hard. 30. Thou, my will. I'm gonna grab some water. All right, it's dumb. It's silly. It's like, come on, have some serious in here. No, I can't. It's just too easy to take that out of context. Thou, my will. Thou change of every. I can't. All right, all right. He's talking about the charcoal to the diamond. Well, not the charcoal. That's different, chemistry-wise, to coal, right? But our shade, he's made out of charcoal. He's not a diamond, though. Oh, that's symbolic. He's a soft piece of charcoal. He's not hardened by adventure yet. He's new. He's like fresh to this world, to so much. So what about in the ending when they scrub at his skin and now he has like a human skin? Is that what made him a diamond? That's deep. That's crazy. You get it, right? Where, okay, the game is the longing and overcoming things within yourself, striving through your own darkness, facing against yourself, embracing your own darkness, embracing your longing within, and then at the end escaping that, with the well. But then his skin, his adventures has been polished, I guess you can say, hardened, and now he is like a person. He is now part of the outside world, meeting other new strange creatures and people he looks up to. There's that picture. It says father, and I've mentioned this before, but I don't think he thinks of the old man as his father, or that it really is his father, but that he thinks of him as a father figure. All right, 30. Thou, my will, thou change of every need, my needfulness, Preserve me from all small victories. Thou fatedness of my soul, which I call fate, thou, in me, over me, preserve and spare me for one great fate. And thy last greatness, my will, spirit for thy last, that thou mayest be inexorable in thy victory. Who hath not succumbed to his victory? Whose eye hath not bedimmed in this intoxicated twilight? Whose foot hath not faltered and forgotten in victory how to stand? That I may one day be ready and ripe in the great noontide, ready and ripe like the glowing ore, the lightning-bearing cloud, and the swelling milk udder, ready for myself, and for my most hidden will, a bow eager for its arrow, an arrow eager for its star, a star ready and ripe in its noontide, glowing, pierced, blessed by annihilating sun arrows, a sun itself, and an exonerable sun will, ready for annihilation in victory. Will, thou change of every need, my needfulness, spare me for one great victory. Thus spake Zarathustra. At last. It is a new chapter, chapter 52. No? 55 plus 2, 57. The Convalescent. One morning, not long after his return to his cave, Zarathustra sprang up from his couch like a madman, crying with a frightful voice, and acting as if someone still lay on the couch, who did not wish to rise. Zarathustra's voice also resounded in such a manner that his animals came to him frightened, and out of all the neighboring caves and lurking places, all the creatures slipped away, flying, fluttering, creeping, or leaping, according to the variety of foot or wing. Zarathustra, however, spake these words, Up, abysmal thought, out of my depth. I am thy cock in morning dawn, thou overslept reptile, up, up. My voice shall soon crow thee awake. Unbind the fetters of thine ears, listen, for I wish to hear thee. Up, up. There is thunder enough to make the very graves listen. And rub the sleep and all the dimness and blindness out of thine eyes. Hear me also with thine eyes. My voice is a medicine, even for those born blind. And once thou art awake, then shalt thou ever remain awake. It is not my custom to awake great-grandmothers out of their sleep, that I may bid them sleep on. Thou stirrest, stretchest thyself, wheezest, up, up, not a wheeze, shalt thou but speak unto me. Zarathustra calleth thee, Zarathustra the godless. I, Zarathustra, the advocate of living, the advocate of suffering, the advocate of the circuit, thee do I call, my most abysmal thought. Joy to me, thou comest. I hear thee. Mine abyss speaketh. My lowest depth have I turned over into the light. Joy to me. Come hither. Give me thy hand. Let it be. Disgust, disgust, disgust. Alas to me. 2. Hardly, however, had Zarathustra spoken these words, when he fell down as one dead, and remained long as one dead. When, however, he again came to himself, then was he pale and trembling, and remained lying. And for long he would neither eat or drink. This condition continued for 7 days. His animals, however, did not leave him day nor night, except that the eagle flew forth to fetch food, and what it fetched and foraged, it laid on Zarathustra's couch, so that Zarathustra at last lay among yellow and red berries, grapes, rosy apples, sweet-smelling herbage, pine cones. At his feet, however, 2 lambs were stretched, which the eagle had with difficulty carried off from their shepherds. At last, after 7 days, Zarathustra raised himself upon his couch, took a rosy apple in his hand, smelt it, found it smelled pleasant. Then did his animals think that the time had come to speak unto him. O Zarathustra, said they, now hast thou lain thus for 7 days with heavy eyes. Wilt thou not set thyself again upon thy feet? Step out of thy cave. The world waiteth for thee as a garden. The wind playeth with heavy fragrance, which seeketh for thee, and all brooks would like to run after thee. This sounds weird. I'm picturing a horde of animals all just speaking, perhaps taking turns, saying one word then the next, but no, I'm being too literal. All things long for thee, since thou hast remained alone for 7 days. Step forth out of thy cave. All things want to be thy physicians. Did perhaps a new knowledge come to thee, a bitter, grievous knowledge? Like leavened dough layest thou, thy soul arose and swelled beyond all its bounds. O mine animals, answered Zarathustra, talk on thus, let me listen. It refresheth me so to hear your talk. Where there is talk, there is the world as a garden unto me. How charming it is that there are words and tones. Are not words and tones rainbows, and seeming bridges twixt the internally separated? To each soul belongeth another world. To each soul is another soul, a back world. Among the most alike doth semblance deceive most delightfully, for the smallest gap is most difficult to bridge over. For me, how could there be an outside of me? There is no outside. But this we forget on hearing tones. How delightful it is that we forget. Have not names and tones been given unto things that man may refresh himself? I'm adding an if. I'm so used to reading them. Have not names and tones been given unto things that man may refresh himself with them? It is a beautiful folly, speaking therewith danceth man over everything. How lovely is all speech and all falsehoods of tones. With tones danceth our love on variegated rainbows. O Zarathustra, said his animals, to those who think like us, things all dance themselves. They come and hold out the hand and laugh and flee and return. Everything goeth, everything returneth. Eternally rolleth the wheel of existence. Everything dieth, everything blossometh forth again. Eternally runneth on the year of existence. Everything breaketh, everything is integrated anew. Eternally buildeth itself the same house of existence. All things separate, all things again greet one another. Eternally true to itself remaineth the ring of existence. Every moment beginneth existence. Around every, here, rolleth the ball. There, the middle is everywhere. Crooked is the path of eternity. O ye wags and barrel organs, answered Zarathustra, and smiled once more. How well do ye know what had to be fulfilled in 7 days, and how that monster crept into my throat and choked me. But I bit off its head and spat it away from me, and ye have made a liar lay out of it. Now, however, do I lie here, still exhausted with that biting and spitting away, still sick with mine own salvation. And ye looked on at it all. O mine animals, are ye also cruel? Did ye like to look at my great pain, as men do? For man is the cruelest animal. At tragedies, bullfights, and crucifixions hath he hitherto been happiest on earth. And when he invented his hell, behold, that was his heaven on earth. When the great man crieth, immediately runneth the little man thither, and his tongue hangeth out of his mouth, for very lusting. He, however, calleth it his pity. The little man, especially the poet, how passionately doth he accuse life in words. Hearken to him, but do not fail to hear the delight which is in all accusation. Such accusers of life. Let life overcometh with the glance of the eye. Thou lovest me, saith the insolent one, wait a little, and yet have I no time for thee. Towards himself, man is the cruelest animal, and in all who call themselves sinners and bearers of the cross and penitents, do not overlook the voluptuousness in their plaints and accusations. And I myself, do I thereby want to be man's accuser? Mine animals, this only have I learned hitherto, that a man, that for a man, his baddest is necessary for his best, and all that is baddest is the best power, and the hardest stone for the highest creator. That man must become better and better. Not to this torture stake was I tied, that I know man is bad, but I cried, as no one hath yet cried, that his baddest is so very small, that his best is so very small. The great disgust at man, it strangled me, and had crept into my throat, and what the soothsayer has presaged, all is alike, nothing is worth while, knowledge strangleth. A long twilight limped on before me, a fatally weary, fatally intoxicated sadness, which spake with the yawning mouth. Eternally he returneth, the man of whom thou art weary. The small man, so yawned my sadness, and dragged its foot, and could not go to sleep. A cavern became the human earth to me. Its breast caved in, everything living became to me human dust and bones, and mouldering past. My sighing sat on all human graves, and could no longer arise. My sighing and questioning croaked, and choked, and gnawed, and nagged day and night. Ah, man returneth eternally. The small man returneth eternally. Naked had I once seen both of them, the greatest man and the smallest man, and too like one another, all too human, even the greatest man, all too small, even the greatest man. That was my disgust at man, and the eternal return also of the smallest man. That was my disgust at all existence. Disgust, disgust, disgust. Thus spake Zarathustra, and sighed and shuddered, for he remembered his sickness. Then did his animals prevent him from speaking further. Do not speak further, thou convalescent, so answered his animals, but go out, where the world waiteth for thee like a garden. Go out into the roses, the bees, and the flocks of doves, especially, however, unto the singing birds, to learn singing from them. For singing is for the convalescent, the sounds one may talk, and when the sound also wants songs, then want they other songs than the convalescent. O ye wags of barrel organs, do be silent, answered Zarathustra, smiled at his animals. How well ye know what consolation I devised for myself in 7 days, that I have to sing once more. That consolation did not devise for myself. And this convalescence, would ye also make another lyre lay thereof? Do not talk further, answered his animals once more. Rather, thou convalescent, prepare for thyself first a lyre, a new lyre. For behold, O Zarathustra, for thy new lays there are needed new lyres. Sing and bubble over, O Zarathustra, heal thy soul with new lays, that thou mayest bear thy great fate, which hath not yet been anyone's fate. For thine animals know it well, O Zarathustra, who thou art and must become. Behold, thou art the teacher of the eternal return. That is now thy fate. That thou must be the first to teach this teaching. How could this great fate not be thy greatest danger and infirmity? Behold, we know what thou teachest, that all things eternally return, and ourselves with them, and that we have already existed times without a number, and all things with us. Thou teachest that there is a great year of becoming, a prodigy of a great year. It must, like a sandglass, ever turn up anew, but it may anew run down and run out, so that all those years are like one another in the greatest and also in the smallest, so that we ourselves in every great year are like ourselves in the greatest and also in the smallest. If thou wouldst now die, O Zarathustra, behold, We know also how thou wouldst then speak to thyself. But thine animals beseech thee not to die yet. Thou wouldst speak and without trembling, buoyant rather with bliss, for a great weight and worry would be taken from thee, thou patientest one. Now do I die and disappear, wouldst thou say, and in a moment I am nothing. Souls are as mortal our bodies, as souls are as mortal as bodies. Okay, I need to say that one more time. Now do I die and disappear, wouldst thou say, and in a moment I am nothing. Souls are as mortal as bodies. But the plexus of causes returneth in which I am intertwined. It will again create me. I myself pertain to the causes of the eternal return. I come again with this sun, with this earth, with this ego, and with this serpent, not to a new life, or a better life, or a similar life. I come again eternally to this identical and self-same life. It is greatest, and its smallest, to teach again the eternal return of all things, to speak again the word of the great noontide of earth and man, to announce again to man the Superman. I have spoken my word. I break down by my word. So willeth mine eternal fate. As announcer do I succumb. The hour hath now come for the down-goer to bless himself. Thus endeth Zarathustra's down-going. When the animals had spoken these words, they were silent and waited, so that Zarathustra might say something to them. But Zarathustra did not hear that they were silent. On the contrary, he lay quietly, with closed eyes, like a person sleeping, although he did not sleep, for he communed just then with his soul. The serpent, however, and the eagle, when they found him silent in such wise, respected the great stillness around him, and prudently retired. It's interesting that for all Zarathustra's wisdom, that the animals knew more than he. I can imagine after being sick for 7 days, he was weak. He needed to care for himself. He needed to be silent and not get all, I guess, worked up. Somewhere in that, Zarathustra was sharing what he had gone through during those 7 days. But the animals spoke over him, didn't allow him to speak, and in some ways they kind of told us the whole thing. '58. The Great Longing. O my soul, I have taught thee to say today, as once on a time, and formerly, and to dance thy measure over every here and there and yonder. O my soul, I delivered thee from all by places. I brushed down from thee dust and spiders and twilight. O my soul, I washed the petty shame and the by-place virtue from thee, and persuaded thee to stand naked before the eyes of the sun. With the storm that is called Spirit did I blow over thy surging sea. All clouds did I blow away from it. I strangled even the strangler called Sin. O my soul, I gave thee the right to say nay like the storm, and to say yea as the open heaven saith yea. Calm as the light remainest thou, and now walkest through denying storms. O my soul, I restored to thee liberty over the created and the uncreated, and who knoweth, as thou knowest, the voluptuousness of the future. O my soul, just scrolling there. O my soul, I taught thee the contempt, which doth not come like worm eating, the great and loving contempt, which loveth most where it contemneth most. O my soul, I taught thee so to persuade that thou persuadest even the grounds themselves to thee, like the sun, which persuadeth even the sea to its height. O my soul, I have taken from thee all obeying and knee-bending and homage-paying. I have myself given thee the names change of need and fate. O my soul, I have given thee new names and gay-colored playthings. I have called thee fate, and the circuit of circuits, and the navel string of time, and the azure bell. O my soul, to thy domain gave I all wisdom to drink, all new wines, and also all immemorially old strong wines of wisdom. O my soul, every sun shied I upon thee, and every night, and every silence, and every longing. Then grewest thou up for me as a vine. O my soul, exuberant and heavy, dost thou stand forth, a vine with swelling udders, and full clusters of brown golden grapes, filled and weighted by thy happiness, waiting from superabundance, and yet ashamed of thy waiting. O my soul, there is nowhere a soul which could be more loving and more comprehensive and more extensive, where could future and past be closer together than with thee. O my soul, I have given thee everything. I have given thee everything, and all my hands have become empty by thee. And now sayest thou unto me, smiling and full of melancholy, which of us oweth thanks? Doth the giver not owe thanks because the receiver received? Is bestowing not a necessity? Is receiving not pitying? O my soul, I understand the smiling of thy melancholy. Thine overabundance itself now stretcheth out longing hands. Thy fullness looketh forth over raging seas, and seeketh and waiteth the longing of overfullness, looking forth from the smiling heaven of thine eyes. And verily, O my soul, who could see thy smiling and not melt into tears? The angels themselves melt into tears, though the overgraciousness, through the overgraciousness of thy smiling. The graciousness and overgraciousness is it which will not complain and weep, and yet, O my soul, longeth thy smiling for tears, and thy trembling mouths for sobs. Is not all weeping complaining, and all complaining accusing? Thus speakest thou to thyself, and therefore, O my soul, wilt thou rather smile than pour forth thy grief? Then in gushing tears pour forth all thy grief concerning thy fullness, concerning the craving of the vine, and the vintager and vintage knife. But wilt thou not weep? Wilt thou not weep forth thy purple melancholy? Then wilt thou have to sing, O my soul, behold, I smile myself, who foretell thee this. Thou wilt have to sing with passionate song, until all seas turn calm, to hearken unto thy longing, until over calm longing seas and bark glideth the golden marvel around the gold, of which all is good, bad, and marvelous things frisk. Also, many large and small animals, and everything that hath light, marvelous feet, so that it can run on violet blue paths, towards the golden marvel, the spontaneous spark, and its master he, however, is the vintager, who waiteth with the diamond vintage knife. Thy great deliverer, O my soul, the nameless one, for whom future songs only will find names, and verily, already hath thy breath the fragrance of future songs. Already glowest thou and dreamest. Already drinkest thou thirstily at all deep echoing wells of consolation. Already reposeth thy melancholy in the bliss of future songs. O my soul, now have I given thee all, and even my last possession, and all my hands have become empty by thee, that I bade thee sing. Behold, that was my last thing to give. That I bade thee sing. Say now, say, which of us now oweth thanks? Better still, however, sing unto me. Sing, O my soul, and let me thank thee. Thus spake Zarathustra. I find it interesting how Zarathustra decided to just lay down and close his eyes, but he wasn't quite asleep, and he's going through all these things, and our shade is laying here, still not quite asleep, because he's not yet dreamed, but probably just looking within himself, his coal nature, and becoming something more out of it. That revelation, it seems somewhat obvious, but for it to have struck me like that. To think of the symbolism that it was the hardships that the shade endured internally that created that change of himself outwardly from having left the mines. I think. Yeah, this one's short enough. We can get through this one. Into thine eyes, 59, the second dance song. Into thine eyes gaze I lately, O life. Gold saw I gleam in thy night eyes. My heart stood still with delight. A gold bark saw I gleam on darkened waters, a sinking, drinking, reblinking, golden swing bark. At my dance frantic foot dost thou cast a glance, a laughing, questioning, melting, thrown glance. Twice only movest thou thy rattle with thy little hands. Then did my feet swing in dance fury. My heels reared aloft, my toes they hearkened. Thee they would know. Hath not the dancer his ear in his toe? Unto thee did I spring, then fledst thou back from my bound, and towards me waved thy flying tresses round. Away from thee did I spring, and from thy snaky tresses, then stoodst thou there half turned, in thine eye caresses. With crooked glances doth thou teach me crooked courses, on crooked courses learn my feet, crafty fancies. I fear thee near, I love thee far. Thy flight allureth me, thy seeking secureth me. I suffer, but for thee, which would I not gladly bear? For thee, whose coldness inflameth, whose hatred misleadeth, whose flight enchaineth, whose mockery pleadeth. Who would not hate thee, thou great bindness, inwardness, temptress, secress, findress? Who would not love thee, thou innocent, impatient, wind-swift, child-eyed sinner? Wider, foolest thou me now, thou paragon and tomboy? And now, foolest thou me fleeing, thou sweet romp dost annoy? I dance after thee, I follow even faint traces lonely. Where art thou? Give me thy hand, or thy finger only. Here are caves and thickets, we shall go astray. Halt, stand still. Sweet, seest thou not owls and bats in fluttering fray? Thou bat, thou owl, thou wouldst play me foul? Where are we? From the dogs hast thou learned thus to bark and howl? Thou gnashest me on sweetly, with little white teeth. Thine evil eyes shoot out upon me, thy curly little mane from underneath. This is a dance over stock and stone. I am the hunter. Wilt thou be my hound, or my... I don't know how to pronounce this word. Chamois anon. Now beside me, and quickly, wickedly springing, now up and over. Alas, I had fallen myself over swinging. Oh, see me lying, thou arrogant one, and imploring grace. Gladly would I walk with thee in some lovelier place, on the paths of love, through bushes variegated, quiet, trim, or there along the lake where goldfishes dance and swim. Thou art now aweary, there above our sheep and sunset stripes. Is it not sweet to sleep, the shepherd pipes? Thou art so weary, I carry thee thither. Let just thine arm sink. And art thou thirsty? I should have something, but thy mouth would not like it to drink. O that cursed, nimble, supple serpent, and lurking witch! There art thou gone, but in my face do I feel thy hand, 2 spots, and red blotches itch. I am verily weary of it, ever thy shepherd, ever thy sheepish shepherd to be, thou witch, if I hitherto sung unto thee, now shalt thou cry unto me. To the rhythm of my whip shall thou dance and cry. I forget not my whip, not I. Then did life answer me thus, and kept thereby her fine ears closed. O Zarathustra, crack not so terribly with thy whip. Thou knowest surely that noise killeth thought. And just now there came to me such delicate thoughts. We are both of us genuine, ne'er-do-wells and ne'er-do-ills. Beyond good and evil found we our island and our green meadow, we two alone. Therefore must we be friendly to each other. And even should we not love each other from the bottom of our hearts, must we then have a grudge against each other, if we do not love each other perfectly? And that I am friendly to thee, and often too friendly, that knowest thou, and the reason it is that I am envious of thy wisdom. Ah, this mad old fool, wisdom! If thy wisdom should one day run away from thee, then would also my love run away from thee quickly. Thereupon did life look thoughtfully behind and around, and said softly, O Zarathustra, thou art not faithful enough to me. Thou lovest me not nearly so much as thou sayest. I know, thou thinkest of soon leaving me. There is an old heavy booming clock. It boometh by night up to thy cave. When thou hearest this clock strike the hours at midnight, then thinkest thou between 1 and 12 thereon. Thou thinkest thereon, O Zarathustra, I know it, of soon leaving me. Yea, answered I hesitatingly, but thou knowest it also. And I said something into her ear, in amongst her confused, yellow, foolish tresses. Thou knowest that, O Zarathustra, that knoweth no one. And we gazed at each other, and looked at the green meadow over which the cool evening was just passing, and we wept together. Then, however, was life dearer unto me than all my wisdom had ever been. Thus spake Zarathustra. 3. The number 3. 1. O man, take heed. 2. What saith deep midnight's voice indeed? 3. I slept my sleep. 4. From deepest dream I've woke and pled. 5. The world is deep. 6. And deeper than the day could read. 7. Deep is its woe. 8. Joy deeper still than grief can be. 9. Woe saith, hence, go. 10. But joys all want eternity. 11. Want deep, profound eternity. 12. I think I'll just hang out with the shade a bit more and make sure he has a little pleasant dream of some sort. I want to make sure the time advances at least 1 hour, so that way when we begin tomorrow, the time will be right and we can leave from this prison of a place. I had no idea when I first came in here that it would trap us each time. I had thought perhaps only the first time it would trap us. I'm not sure why I thought it wouldn't trap us again. I guess I thought it's when you go inside to go pick something up that something in here acted as like a lure to cause this to be a trap. But no, apparently it's not the case. It's just the nature of this room itself. It's not the rewards in the room. But yeah, I came back here for a book. Didn't find a book, but we were able to read from one that I was hoping to read more of and to get through. We're quite far in it now. I imagine another reading session we would end. If you were to see the scroll bar, it doesn't look like we're at the end, and that's because there's a whole other book beyond this one. But that's okay. I think we have some time, some place when I'm developing a speed run perhaps of the game to read the last book. And I imagine going forward with our birthday soon on the horizon, and soon after that, the last ending, the ending of 400 days being passed, where we will end all fear and longing. We'll probably be spending a lot of time discussing and going through all those steps and motions to make those things happen. So there might not be enough time to read then. So I guess I'm kind of glad that we had the time to do it now. It would be perfect if the Shade would just have his little dream. We could just end on that note. I think I'll sit with him a couple minutes more.